Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is Film Talk Weekly. I'm Castle Cersei of the Santa Fe International Film Festival. I'm your guest host. Today, we're here with Richard Jordan. I've also heard Richard Mark Jordan of Richard Jordan Casting. What do you prefer, Richard Mark or Richard?
So, as you know, I'm a casting director, but I'm also an actor. I still do both. So, um, Richard Jordan Casting. So, in the Screen Actors Guild, you can only have one name. And once that name is taken, it's taken forever. So, there was already a famous Richard Jordan. He was in
Okay.
like The Hunt for Red October, Les Miserables, a bunch of stuff. He's deceased, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Um,
That was
I
my
can't
next
think of his name.
question.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't matter. It's retired. It's like there's only one. So Richard Mark Jordan. So as an actor, I'm Richard Mark Jordan. As a casting director, I'm Richard Jordan.
Okay.
But under IMDb, I'm Richard Mark Jordan.
Okay. Everyone, look it up.
Isn't that
Richard
fun?
Mark Jordan. He's a casting director based in Brooklyn, still in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Uh,
Still
has
there.
has worked with the Santa
Here.
Fe International Film Festival. That's actually where we met. And
Yeah. Several years.
I live part-time in New York. And so Richard and I have reconnected there. So you make some of your best friends at the film festivals, I say. Like
Yeah,
it's like
it's true.
it's like
It's very
it's like
true.
summer camp, you like bond during this like 4 or 5 day festival and find your people and go to all the same things and you know, you're drawn to each other. I feel like it's like camp. Now you're a casting director. I think I've mistakenly called you a casting agent before, and that
That's
didn't
okay. It happens a lot of
that didn't go
times. Just
over
something that
well.
happened.
Yeah, what's the difference to the lay people?
Sure. What's the difference between a nurse doctor? I mean, we don't say nurse doctors. Nurses and doctors work together, but
Okay.
they do different things. Okay. Agents and casting directors work together, but they do different things. So an agent is a talent agent, just like they could be, just like you have real estate agents and you have lawyer agents and agents for all sorts of things. And what they do is they represent individuals, certain individuals, and they try to get them work and they take a commission. Casting directors, we are hired by usually producers, sometimes directors, and we cast the net out as far as we can. So we do our own thing. Now, I have a theory
Okay.
that one of the reasons that people say casting agent is because they've seen it on porn. Because on porn they have like, oh, casting agent. They never say casting director, which I like that they don't do that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
sometimes people like make a joke about a casting couch, and I'm
Right.
like, I always roll my eyes, and I'm like,
Yes.
that is not the way. By the way, anyone who thinks it's the way, it's not the way. It's definitely not the way. Maybe it was 50 years ago, but that's just, I can't even like shake someone's hand the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm a white straight male. I got to be careful. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right. Well, you're doing a good job of that,
yeah.
as far as I know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
but you're also an actor too. So like how does one inform the other, or does it create conflicts, or like what tell me about?
Yeah, sure. So I like to say it takes one to know one. And so like I started acting when I was 9, and then like, I did the whole thing. And so I
You
eventually came
look
up to
like
New
a
York.
child. You look like a child actor, a former child actor to me.
But I wasn't a child actor like that was like pushed by my parents. And I wasn't like famous. I was like a nerd. I don't know if nerd's like the right word, but like I was an unpopular kid who had this creative thing inside him and found release through theater, which I think enough people, if it didn't come to you from your parents and you found it on your own, that's how it was. And so, my parents would support me by taking me to practice and stuff, but it wasn't their idea; it was my idea. And so, I wasn't like in like TV shows and stuff like that. I was just in like local theater, but like professional local theater in the Dallas area. And then anyway, I did the whole thing, coming to New York, going to like, acting school. And then as I was getting like, better and better roles, I would do like student films, Columbia University, NYU, stuff like that. And I become friends with some of the directors. And the directors were like, hey, you clearly like have a good network of people. I'm casting my film. I'm having trouble finding some people. Do you know anyone? And I always just naturally sort of was drawn to people that I thought were good actors or people who were interesting. And interesting people tend to make for better actors, So it just was kind of clear that I had a knack for it. And then I started helping out. And then once I realized how much work was involved, I'm like, all right, I gotta start charging for this. Like, I don't need this for my reel, I like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I need to like get paid. And then I've cast like over probably close to 200 different things, including commercials and music videos, but obviously also feature films, short films, haunted houses, whatever you name it, print
Haunted
ads,
houses.
just
Okay.
haunted houses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
one person came at us with a knife. Like they didn't try to like stab us, but like they were like acting, and then they actually like pulled out a knife, a real knife, and I'm like, we can't hire them.
right. Yeah. A little too real. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so like, how does it work? Like, for people that don't know, like, a director or producer calls you, or which one calls you? Like, someone calls you and says, "I'm casting this,"
It
and then,
depends on the size of the project. Um, if the director, if it's really small, the director's doing everything. The director will call me themselves. If it's a little bigger, the usually it's the producers who call me. The producer will call me. Or if I know the director will call me, but then they'll like put me in touch with the producer. But yeah, they'll basically say, "Here's what we want," or "Here's what we're looking for," and the timeline, and I'll try to get them to be more detailed, and then we go back and forth, and like sometimes they have a clear picture on what they want, exactly what they want to pay, and sometimes they need my advice on that,
and
and I'm happy
do
to
you get to
help.
read the script in advance?
Of course, of
Okay.
course. Yeah,
And
I
then
mean, yeah,
you are uniquely qualified to start visualizing what kind of person should be cast in this. Do they give you pictures
yeah.
or like boards or?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean,
Okay.
for commercials, they're and like commercials are definitely way more organized because they're more like it's all business. I mean, commercials is business, a
Yeah.
big business. So they come in with a huge deck, mood boards, that sort of thing. But um, it's no secret that most filmmakers, if they make their money at filmmaking, they make a majority of that with commercials. So they tend to translate all that organization into their films. So a lot of times, or enough times, I will get mood boards, or a deck for a film.
And do you like to get
And
a lot of
so
information, or would you rather like,
the more the better. The more the better. The more the
yeah.
better. Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, the more they know, the more I can work with that. But also, I like when they're open to, you know, different interpretations of the role. Like if it doesn't have to be male, maybe it can be female, maybe it can be trans. I mean, I'm not big on pushing diversity for diversity's sake. I think the person who has the right vibe should get the role. Now, I think it's great that we tell diverse stories and that we have these actors in it, and that's going very well right now. But if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I think the person who best embodies who can best tell that the story of the character and how that fits into the bigger picture of the film, that's who should be cast. And the more open we can be, the more open of interpretation that is, the more fun that can be.
Right. I mean,
People
I
have
think,
fun with like,
I hope people are getting more open to at least like exploring, more diversity. I think that's
oh,
happening.
they are. I mean, at the very, I mean,
Um,
it's really good. The scales have really tipped that way. like completely tipped in that direction.
Definitely seeing more representation out there, which I think is more
Absolutely.
interesting
Absolutely.
and yeah, more entertaining too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, we want to see so many different types of stories. So,
yeah. Richard, I really want to get into like your unique perspective of being both an actor and a casting director and like how one informs the other. Like how does being a casting director inform your acting? For let's start there.
I see a lot. So right now, since the pandemic, 99% of all auditions are self-tape, whereas before you would go in person. That's a big difference.
Okay.
So I see a lot of self-tapes. I know what the role is. I know what the lines are, and I see so many different interpretations. So it's interesting for me to be on the other side, just to see like kind of what works and what doesn't, what people are bringing and what they're not bringing. And it's also interesting to see how quickly we know whether they're in the ballpark or not. It's really fast. It's kind of like, if you meet someone on a dating site and you've been talking back and forth, but like then you just meet them in person, like really, really, really fast if there's a vibe or not. Like,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
know. So one of the things I've learned is that be yourself as much as you can, like who you really are. Like that's a big thing. Um, and I feel like the people who like try too hard, it doesn't really. It comes off as fake, and like it's got to seem real. So, like performances have to be grounded and they have to seem real. They have to the tone has to be there. Nobody books everything, not even like day-listers. You just try to do the best you can and like bring your A game and do your prep work. And, like you see certain things like being memorized is important, even though SAG says you can't tell the people to memorize. Okay.
Okay. What are some other
And,
pro tips like that? Like just things that can apply to everyone.
like, but you also want to take your time and do your prep work. You really need to like treat the audition like it's a role that you booked, because that's where it is. Like that the acting homework is really done in the audition. You book the part, and then when you book the part, you go and you do it. I mean, if it's a big part, then you have like a lot, like a good amount of rehearsal with the director. But if it's like a day player or whatever, or a smaller role, you just go to set and you do it. So there's not a lot of rehearsal. There might be rehearsed, like a couple rehearsals on set, and that's it. So the character is formed in the audition prep. That's when we know if you're right or not. And if we love you, then you just do on set what you did in the audition.
Any other pitfalls, like things you've seen people do a million times that like don't do that?
Miming, don't mime.
What?
Miming,
Okay.
like if it's like, oh, it says they kiss, and when there's a prop and there's no prop,
Uh-huh.
just forget it.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Okay.
Like you don't have to go through all the actions because this is an audition. We need to see the vibe of the character and hear the words.
Like, should you look
I
around or
wouldn't.
walk? Should you look at the camera? Like, let's just say like
Yeah, well,
someone out there
you have,
listening is like brand new at this
yeah,
and sees like a
you have to stay in your frame. Like here, like my frame is like this. Like it's not that big. Like if I go off camera, like it's gonna be weird. Like also your eye line. You need to like you can't look directly at the camera if you are, unless like that makes sense for that particular scene.
Mhm.
Like if the scene, like if you're talking to the audience in the scene, okay. But for the most part, if you're talking to a person, you want to look a little left or a little right of the camera.
Okay.
And you need a reader. You need a reader. Don't do it without a reader. And
Okay.
don't just say your own lines. Don't just say your own lines. Like record yourself saying your own lines, because you're doing several different takes. Each take is going to be a little bit different because you're going to discover new things and you're going to try new choices out. And you can't be to the cadence of something that's pre-recorded. It has to be live. And I highly, highly recommend actors getting a list of 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 actors that they can call that can either come over or do like a Zoom or a Skype or a FaceTime or an Instagram FaceTime so that they can do it live with the actor because your roommate's not going to cut it unless your roommate's an actor,
Right,
you
which
know?
which could happen in New York and LA, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Yeah, I mean, actors sometimes room together, although that it doesn't always work out. But, hey, rooming in New York, a lot of things don't work out.
That's true. You got to keep trying. That's, I think, the message of
Yeah,
this Film Talk Weekly, my
keep
Film
trying,
Talk
keep
Weekly.
refining.
Anyways, keep trying. I mean, it's just like applying for any other creative grant or position or project. You
Yeah,
have to just keep applying, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
and then and like try to get better each time. Like try to learn, try to think, okay, what did I do? Also, don't do a million takes. Like, I mean, I think 3 or 4 takes maximum. Really, if you can't get it in 3 or 4 takes,
and then you have to edit it. Or you,
no, not really. I mean, like what I do is I do it on my phone, and I make sure you film it landscape, right? So like this, and of course you put it on a tripod. Like I have a ring light, so I put it on that, and so if I'm filming it myself or whatever, like I'll just like edit the video and I'll trim the end and the beginning. But some people edit, and that's fine. You can edit, but like I just do a new take each. I do a new video for each take. So then, like the videos, so I can look at each take individually, and then I can upload the take or takes that I like best. And like if they
yeah.
ask for more than one, make sure you're making different choices in the next take. Like it's a different vibe. Like if it's just like slightly different, that's not different. That's not a different take. It's just if you're doing like if you're making the same choices, that's also a thing. If we ask for more than one take, we want to see like something that's like considerably different, like almost a different interpretation of the role.
Mm-hmm. Get creative.
Yeah, so we can
Makes
see
sense.
okay,
Yeah,
like that's another way it could go.
yeah.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for filmmakers, for producers, and people on that end, as a casting director?
Well, a lot of times filmmakers think like they can't afford a casting director, so a lot of times they'll do it themselves, which I think is the wrong way to go. um, I'd say always try to find a casting director. Like, you know, I will work with people's budgets, no matter what it is, as long as they're honest with me about what their budget is. If I like the script, I'll do it. And, like earlier in my career, I would even do things for free. So like look at a casting office and see who the associates are, see who the assistants are, ask them, because like they're trying to move up. So, it's like you want to get people that are around your level. You know, you want someone who's got enough experience, but like still needs to build their their portfolio. So that's what we're all doing until we really break through. So these relationships are huge because you make these relationships with people and like like they're me and some people were at a certain level, and we've done some decent sized stuff, but we're not big stars. But at the same time, we still need to keep building. So you try to keep building and growing with people who are in the general level of where you are, and that's for you to decide and be honest with yourself about. Because if you overreach too much, they don't need that. the people to hire up, or like, or you can't afford it because they're at a point where they're making good money at it, and they just, if they're going to do a favor, they're going to do a favor. I mean, like, you really just gotta have to, like, sort of like figure that, like, kind of test the vibes out on, and you can't ask for a favor twice.
Can't ask for what?
If someone's a favor twice,
Oh, yeah.
if you're going to ask someone to work for
That is
free,
words of wisdom from,
you get one
yeah.
good one. So don't ruin it. Don't waste it on something stupid. Definitely earlier in my career, I went to one set, and I was just like doing background, but it wasn't paying, and I was with the girlfriend at the time, and didn't even have food. But now I can see a mess from a mile away.
Right, right,
I
yeah.
know the questions to ask.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know the questions.
Yeah, you need to start
But
to
it's
know the
time
language,
to.
the question. Yeah, yeah,
I know the questions to ask, even if there's no money. Like, every now and then, I'll do something for no money as an actor because I know they don't have money, and it's a good opportunity. And those few and rare times that I have done things for no money, it's worked out and led to other jobs that
yeah,
paid. So, you got to be
yeah. I think
strategic with that.
there's, you hear a lot of stuff like don't work for free, don't say yes to everything. And like, I just think you have to take each opportunity with, you know,
On its own. I mean,
yeah,
in certain cases, it might even make sense to work for free for this guy as opposed to getting 150 a day for this guy,
yes, exactly.
because
Yeah.
this
Yep.
guy
It's
is,
case by case. Yeah,
it's always case by case.
yeah,
Yes. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, and if you're going to burn a bridge, like, make sure you're burning the smaller bridge.
How do people get in touch with you? Let's just put that in here before the end.
Just come to my house, knock
Okay.
on the door.
Okay. Halsey Street in Brooklyn. Um,
1324 1L. Now, for casting, my website is richardjordancasting.com, and my Instagram is at Richard Jordan Creative.
okay, cool.
That's
Um,
the best way. I like the DMs.
what? DMs.
I like DMs.
Okay, I think we all do, depending who it is. Um,
Right.
so, I mean, so you talked a little bit about how you got started and you were like a child actor, and then then you moved to New York, right? You were in Texas
Yeah.
and you moved to New York because you wanted to be an actor, or
Because I wanted to be an actor, but I also like am very like I love culture, and I just, as soon as I saw New York on TV and in movies, and I saw what it was, I was like, yeah, I need to be there. I mean, I know you love New York, and
yes, I know.
and
Yeah.
you've always been attracted to it, and it's it's kind of an all-star city, and it's especially an all-star city for people who are good at what they do, but also care about being human. I mean, like, a lot of people say they're like, New York versus LA. And I'm like, New York is a great place to grow as an artist. I mean, as an actor, LA is a good place to have a job, to have a gig. Like, but I always say, New York and LA, they talk. So if you're not making it in New York, chances are you're not going to be making it in LA either. I mean, I've seen a few examples of that being different, but for the most part, it's very saturated. Doors don't open as easily. Doors open a little easier here, believe it or not. I mean, it's a tough city, but you know, if you do it, it's also like, very theater based. But believe it or not, there's more independent film here, shot here, than there is in LA. LA is about the big studio stuff. So if you're able to get into that, God bless you, and enjoy it and do it and rock and roll. But there's something about the edge of the city and the constant exposure to just all different types of people that constantly drives that creative engine. Or I don't think you get there by sucking up and being a yes man. There's a bit of luck, especially as an actor. It's not enough to be a good actor. You have to be a good actor in a project that gets some kind of industry recognition. It doesn't have to win an award like an Oscar or something, but it's got to matter to audiences because they care about that. As an actor, you're a brand of sorts. It's like so.
So you moved to New York to act, or had you already
Yeah,
been? Okay, and then you kind of found your niche with casting
I
directing.
wanted to do
Found
Broadway,
your
but then
talent.
I realized that Broadway was not really my thing. I mean, I still love theater, and I've done some, and I actually did a Broadway reading, which is I was cast in a Broadway musical to be by the guy who wrote Annie, Martin Sharnon, and it was fully staged. Well, a staged reading. So we had rehearsals, and that section, they're raising money for the musical, the Robin Hood Last Days, and everyone, there's like 30 of us on stage. Everyone was on Broadway except two of us. Me and this other guy were the only people that had never been on Broadway, and like the the stars of it were like famous Broadway actors. So I got to do like a Broadway rehearsals and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Was
And
it
but
more than
like
once? Was it like a regular
yeah,
thing?
we,
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know
no,
that
no,
was
we didn't.
a thing.
No, it was like a 2 week thing. We
Okay.
had like rehearsals, and then we had two shows, but like invited audience only, and
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't costumes, but it was still staged. If that makes sense. There was no sets or costumes,
Right.
but we went through it, and there was some movement. There was no dancing, but but there was acting, and we were mostly memorized, like that sort of thing.
Weren't you also
It's
in
just
an
like it's like
opera or something? Or ballet
oh
or
yeah,
an
I,
opera?
I was an I was an extra at in Aida at the Met. Yeah, at the Metropolitan Opera. I mean, but they don't call them extras; they call them supernumeraries.
Supernumeraries?
Yes,
Can you spell that?
yeah, SUPERNUMERAY. I don't know. I'm not great at spelling.
Okay.
Something like that.
Cool.
Supernumerary.
How long did you do that for?
Uh, the run of Aida in 2007.
Like, how much does that pay?
So back
Weren't you
then it
were you
was
like a
it
Viking
was
or like a soldier?
no.
Okay.
I was an Egyptian soldier,
Okay.
and so it's a 4 hour opera. Okay,
Yes.
our 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 call time was during the first act because we're
Okay.
at the beginning, but it's so long that we weren't even called to after it already started. And then we were about 70, I think, 70 of us. And back then, and I don't think they do this anymore, but back then, so I'd have to like put my hair up in like a ponytail, wig cap, like wig cap in the wig. Then we were wearing like Egyptian soldiers. So I was like probably 60 pounds lighter than I am right now. And but then we would like stand up and like spread, and there was a couple makeup artists that had these big sponges and this liquidy brown paint, and they literally brown faced us.
Wow.
Those of us who weren't people of color. Like
Yes.
if you were like brown skin, you didn't need it. But brown or black. But if you were white, they did that. And because I mean, you have to also think like you're seeing from far away. Like the Met is probably one of the biggest theaters in the city. So, I don't know if they still do that or not, but it's interesting. We were paid $50 cash, but we were only there for 2 hours. And like start to finish, we had to bring a towel and like because you shower afterwards because and like out of 70 guys there, I think me and like one, maybe two others were the only straight guys. They were all gay, all of them. But they were like, you know, big, buff, like worked out, like it was like, oh, this is kind of fun. It's like a gay country club.
Well, sometimes you're watching
Like
independent film and you don't even know it. Like, like I, I mean, I had to have someone explain to me once what the difference was because
what did they tell you?
I just couldn't explain it as articulately. It was really
That's
complicated
okay.
the way she
But how would
explained
you
it.
do
But
that?
basically, like, directors and producers have more control over what happens, right?
I mean, yeah, and there's different levels of independent film. I mean, like you can have a film that was made for for like 5 million, 10 million, and that's considered independent film. I mean,
Yeah.
I I mean
It,
SAG
it goes to who has the control, I guess, and like not having to answer to
and where it's
shareholders,
where it's
maybe.
where it's right and where it's released. But I mean, like when we say independent film, like I think we're talking more about like the films that come to the film festivals,
Right,
the
right.
films that are like you'll never at AMC or Regal or Lowe's or any of those places, all great places. You might see them at Alamo, you might see them at Sunshine, you might see them at Angelica. I mean, like, the kind of things like you may or may not see at Angelica. Like, Angelicas are, I think they're all over the country, like there's some like really independent movie film houses. And like there's a big difference in those and the independent films that like sneak in to um to like AMC or whatever. Because AMC like a lot of times will often hold one or two theaters rotating for like sort of smaller type films, but they're not art house. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they're still there's still there's still a couple $1 million budget. They're very rarely showing things that were made for 100 grand.
Right, right. And I think that's what we think of independent film as, but I think there is like another layer of more like
Yeah,
successful.
there's layers of it. There's
Yeah,
layers of independent
there's
film
layers.
for
And
sure.
that's the audience's homework is to research this, since we can't take callers to call in and explain this. Not yet. One day we'll be able to take callers. I just want to find out, like, since we're in award season, right? We're in award season, and the Oscars are coming up, and
Yeah,
everybody's like put out like, or the nominations have already been listed. Like, what have you
yeah.
seen? What are your takes on like the casting, I guess, or anything else? Just I always like to hear what Richard is thinking about, or just your wise Yoda.
Yeah. So I mean everyone's talking about Saltburn
Seen it?
and
Yeah,
I liked it.
you did.
I I did. I liked it because I like it when a movie surprises me.
Oh, okay.
I like it when it shocks me, a little bit. Like, and no one's really talking about this, but I think I know that they deceived us with the trailer. They made everyone think that the family was weird and gonna do something weird with him. And well, if you've seen the movie, well, I mean, yeah, but they show the trailer a lot. Like if you and like
Hmm.
I mean, I saw it on Instagram so many times, and like and it seems like a sexy, fun movie, and it is, but it's like in ways that you're not expecting. You know what I mean? Like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
like when you first see him turn from who we think he is, that scene with the sister, the first
Yeah.
one where she's like outside, and then
Yeah.
like he's like doing what he does. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
I'm
I'm
haunted
like,
by that scene, really. All of
I'm
it.
like, okay, like, all right, but it's also like, I like it when there's like a little bit of absurdity to a film, like because I come from like I grew up with theater, and like so like like movies like The Lobster and stuff like that I loved. Another one that's sort of like top of mind is Maestro.
Yeah, I saw that
Um,
too. I'm catching up on
that's
mine.
how we
Yeah.
is that how we say it, Maestro or Maestro? I think it's Maestro because that's how
Maestro.
you say it.
Yeah. I think the
Maestro.
big question is, do you say Bernstein or Bernstein? But I think the movie taught us it's
Bernstein.
Bernstein. No? Steen?
Bernstein.
Another homework
I think
project
it's Bernstein.
for the audience. Look it up.
It's Bernstein. It's Bernstein. No, it's
I
Leonard
think it's
Bernstein.
Bernstein.
Yeah,
We've all been saying
it's Bernstein.
Bernstein.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, because the Bernstein Bears. That's why they run it. They run it for everyone.
What is that? The butterfly effect? No, the Mandela effect. The Bernstein
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bears. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was the Mandela effect in the fact that like there's like years. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But you know, um, I think it's interesting. Like you saw, did you see that or no?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very interesting how like when they're again, spoiler alert if you guys have not seen it, cover your ears or stop watching or whatever. But like also you're adults and you'll figure it out. Um, I thought it was interesting, like how they did the whole like black and white movie musical of like them falling in love, and how it was like very like I was thinking the whole movie was going to be that way, which probably would have been annoying, but I'm glad that it wasn't, and I'm glad that it seemed to like they seemed to like switch the style up a little bit through the ages, which I kind of liked. Like I think they did a great job, and Bradley Cooper obviously like really in like did his homework on a character, and then I thought it was really good, and I liked it more. They did a lot of long shots, which I thought was interesting. Like they would do entire scenes like in a wide.
Hmm.
Um, and it's almost like you're a voyeur, and that's not like very common in American cinema. So I kind of
I
thought
don't
that
even
was
notice things
interesting.
like that. But I mean, I was
Yeah,
more
I mean,
interested
well,
in
like
the
when the
story.
sausage is made, when the sausage is
Yeah.
made, it's hard to watch the film
Yeah.
and just watch it. It's like you start to think, okay, like I wonder how they did that, or
But
it's like, or I think I know how.
what do you
You
think
think, or you think
about
about.
like, there was so much distraction around his prosthetic nose. Like, what do you think about that?
I think people are bored and they need to get alive. I mean, his kids are okay with it. Steven Spielberg's one of the producers. He's okay with it, and he's like, if Steven
I
Spielberg
didn't
says
think
it's
it
okay,
looked
it's
bad,
okay.
really. Wait, what?
No, it didn't look bad. It looked good. It's just, there's always going to be a little bit of controversy, um, which I, I almost swear to you is planted. I guarantee you it's planted. They want there to be controversy so that it gets more views and more clicks and more, like people have something to talk about. You know what I mean? It's like it's not just, when you're doing a big Hollywood movie, it's not just the movie. It's the behind the scenes, the making of the movie, the everything else. Like people want to know that too. That's just as important because people like want to talk about it, and like more and more they want to talk more than they want to talk more about than just what they saw on the screen, but also what was going on behind the scenes. So that's a very big part of especially these like Oscar bait films, as we say. Certain films are clearly like meant for Oscar noms.
Yeah.
They're made for that. I'm not necessarily like they're made for that, but that's they know what they're doing.
Yeah. What about, did you see Barbie?
No, but I
Will
will. I'm not
will you
against it. I
see
just
Barbie? Yeah. I mean, I liked all of those, but I've just been catching up from home. Unfortunately, not in the theater, but
yeah.
I think Killers of the Flower Moon, I think, is free on Apple TV right now, and
Okay.
Barbie's free on HBO Max.
Really.
And yes, and Maestro, I think, is on Netflix, maybe for free. I know you can watch those ones for free.
And Saltburn at least was on Amazon Prime. I don't know if
Amazon,
it still
yeah,
is.
like
Yeah.
included with Amazon. Maybe Maestro was there. I can't remember. Maestro might have been on Netflix, but anyway, you can see a lot
Maestro's
of these for free. I paid for Oppenheimer twice, actually, because I didn't finish it. Okay, that's a warm wish from Richard Jordan. Thanks for joining us. RichardJordanCasting.com, right?
mhm,
You already gave us your info on segment two. So,
yeah.
yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm Castle Cersei with the Santa Fe International Film Festival. This is Film Talk Weekly. Thanks, Richard.